Yeah, and your visit to Australia, Felix, just looking at some of the key mobile CCTV trends or challenges that you've observed in your time in Australia, is there any sort of particular things that you've found just in talking with different security integrators and whatnot? Is it relying on diesel gensets or backup power, maintenance issues? Like, what have you sort of found in some of your conversations?
Yeah, so I have met a couple of CCTV players, distributors, but also integrators over the last few months here in Australia. And the first thing I noticed that the CCTV market is huge. There's a huge demand for mobile CCTV applications here in Australia, which we as SFC, we see this trend worldwide, but I see it here in Australia because Australia is a huge country. We have very remote areas that you would need an off-grid CCTV solution for those areas.
Yeah,
so the market is huge. When it comes to the trend, I definitely see that companies start focusing more on green solutions. So environmentally friendly energy solutions. There's definitely a trend. Of course, the market itself is still very conservative. But some players, they see that the end customer is slowly asking for a replacement for diesel. And this is exactly the solution we can provide with the fuel cell. And also I'm convinced that in the future, governments and companies will have very strict CO2 targets. So at some point you would need to switch to an environmentally friendly energy solution.
And mining sites and that sort of thing as well.
Especially the mining players, they already have CO2 targets in place. They want to go green by, let's say, 2035 roughly. And they all want to replace the diesel genset. Another trend I have noticed is that typically you look at the capex when you buy the new energy solution. But I also have now talked to a couple of customers, and they are more interested in the OPEX, operating costs. Of course, with diesel gensets, the investment cost is quite low. But due to the high maintenance, you have to add a lot of cost over time, and those costs you don't have with the fuel cell. So with the fuel cell, it's the other way around.
Total cost of ownership is a lot better.
Exactly.
Okay, that's really good. So I guess just looking at the importance of reliable green backup power, and you sort of touched on a little bit of that before. Like, how critical is reliable backup power for mobile CCTV surveillance systems, I guess, particularly when we're talking about off-grid or in remote areas? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
I mean, most players, they have only a solar panel and a battery. And then, of course, you have always the challenge when you have 3 or let's say 5 to 6 days of bad weather. The system is not, let's say, not performing, is offline. And this is probably the nightmare, the biggest nightmare for the CCTV provider.
Exactly.
Because you have a CCTV system which is monitoring something, and if the system is down, offline, you will not be able to monitor. So there's no security anymore. And let's assume that during the downtime, the criminals are starting to steal something. This is the absolute nightmare for the provider, and that's why
very costly
in the end. So that's basically the main reason why the customers are coming to us, because we can provide 365 days a year reliable energy.
Exactly. No, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I guess just looking at understanding the needs of security integrators, just from your interactions with different security integrators, what are some of the most common power-related challenges they face when deploying mobile CCTV towers? Like, what sort of feedback have you been getting in that respect?
I mean, to begin with, they all have a certain size and cost restrictions. It's a very cost-sensitive business. But on the other hand, when you have a tower or trailer, you don't have much space, so you cannot just install the diesel genset. You are looking for...
the footprint is an issue.
Exactly. So you want to have a small and easy to install, let's say, energy solution. And the other point, as mentioned, is most CCTV customers, they have a solar panel and a battery, but this is not reliable at all. And then in some cases, you have a diesel genset installed as the backup system, but here you have the problem with high maintenance, and also the autonomy time is not really high. So you would need to replace the diesel every few weeks,
which is really costly, right?
Costly. Let's assume you have a application somewhere extremely remote, top of a mountain or somewhere in the bush.
Yep.
And we don't want to go there every few weeks to replace the diesel.
It's a lot of fuel to drive out there and
you have to send someone.
Yeah.
This person also costs you money. Those headaches you don't have with our solution.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that total cost of ownership piece that you were talking about before.
Exactly.
So I guess like looking at the uniqueness of EFOY fuel cells, can you just explain a little bit about what makes the EFOY Pro fuel cell unique when we look at it from a backup power perspective with the different solutions that are on the market? What are your thoughts around sort of how does it position itself uniquely in the market?
Right. I guess it's a combination of many different things. The first one we talked about already, it's 100% reliability, which is for CCTV customers most important. Second point is low autonomy. So depending on how much methanol you can you want to connect to the fuel cell, and you can connect up to 8 fuel cartridges.
Wow.
But actually the biggest cartridge we have is 60 liters. So 6 times 8.
48.
Yeah, it's 480 liters.
480 liters.
Methanol.
That's a lot.
Converts this into kilowatt hours. We're talking about roughly 500 kilowatt hours of energy.
Wow.
Which gives you an extremely long autonomy time. Then reduces also your operating costs.
Yeah.
Another point is our fuel cells are maintenance free. You don't have to do any maintenance at all.
Right. Okay.
Compare this again to a diesel genset. You save a lot of money because with the genset you would need to
a lot of maintenance,
lots of maintenance, and then you have something called the diesel bug. So if the genset is not in use for a couple of months, you might need to replace the diesel.
Stale fuel.
Exactly. Then you have to dispose the diesel, which is also expensive.
Yeah.
Another point is that the fuel cell is extremely quiet.
Yep.
So nobody wants to sit or stand next to a diesel genset. It's just too noisy.
Too noisy, yeah. Exactly.
It's extremely quiet. It can be used in, let's say, national parks, in city centers, wherever there's any noise regulations.
Yep.
Fuel cell can be used, no problem.
Yeah.
And the last point is probably remote monitoring.
Yep.
You can connect the fuel cell to any kind of modem.
Okay.
So the fuel cell is then online, and you can control and also remote the fuel cell from your office.
Yeah, great.
Extremely convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. Yeah, that's they're all really good points. So I guess just looking at the impact on security integrators, what impact do you foresee the EFOY Pro having on operations and efficiency for security integrators in Australia when we sort of take into account everything that we've talked about before?
Yeah, I guess the biggest impact is that you don't have to be scared anymore about downtime.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
So this is the biggest nightmare again, and with the fuel cell you don't have this nightmare anymore. We talked about operating costs, and due to the long autonomy, but also due to the fact that you don't need maintenance, you can actually reduce your total cost of ownership, which is very important, which is a big impact. Another thing is, that it's very convenient to do the remote monitoring. Makes life much easier. You don't have to check. You don't have to go to the site, check the actual system. You can see everything in your office remotely.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So I guess just looking at the future outlook, like how do you see the role of green energy evolving in the security sector, just particularly in Australia? Like what's your view on where it's all headed?
I mean, Australia has been a country which has been focusing on nature, on the environment. And I personally believe that the CO2 targets or net zero targets from the government, but also from local companies will get stricter and stricter.
Yeah, 100%.
So having a diesel genset in the 21st century is not something you want to have, since there are much better options out there with the fuel cell.
Yeah.
So the net zero topic is a big topic here in Australia, but also worldwide.
Yeah.
And you want to be prepared, because at some point the government will tell you you're not allowed to use diesel gensets anymore. And it's a big problem.
Exactly.
So you want to be prepared as a business owner. You already want to have a green energy solution.
Yeah.
This is what we can provide with the fuel cell. And again, talking about the mining sector, all three big mining companies here in Australia, they have very strict CO2 targets. So they are already trying to replace all their diesel gensets. And the fuel cell here is an ideal solution. If the power demand is matching, of course, we cannot provide unlimited power with the fuel cell. Let's say we have an application with a power demand of, let's say, up to 200, 300 or 400 watts. We can easily provide the fuel cell. And even beyond, we could provide a hydrogen fuel cell. We focus on direct methanol fuel cells. Anything up to 400 watts, we can easily power.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's definitely the way of the future, right? I guess. Yeah, is there any sort of final thoughts you have around, what you would offer to security integrators considering green backup power solutions? Yeah, what are your sort of final thoughts around that?
I guess my final thought would be that what I have observed so far in Australia is with the security integrators, they're very conservative.
Right.
They want to stick to their old diesel gensets.
It's what they know, right? Like they're comfortable with that.
What they've been working with over the last 20, 25 years.
Yeah.
So my recommendation would be to be open, try out new things.
Yeah.
And also test it. We can give you a EFOY dummy unit or EFOY unit, actual unit, which works for a couple of weeks. Once you test it. And I would say 95% of the customers will be convinced.
Exactly. Try before you buy. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Well, really appreciate your time, Felix. I think it's been really, beneficial having you here in Australia, not only to be at our, security event here and co-exhibit, but just, having your insights from the headquarters and, you're getting insights into what the Australian market needs. And I can see that we're going to be in a really strong position to proactively, help the mining companies, help a lot of different industries here that are going to be under pressure from, like you said, regulations around diesel gensets and not taking a reactive approach, but being proactive.
Exactly.
So no, I really appreciate your time and look forward to working together.
Thank you for your time and thank you for the questions. And I'm looking forward to working with you.